back to ExploringGermany.net, your favorite lifestyle and travel blog, where I share my nearly 20 years of experience living in good old Deutschland. I'm your host, Craig Mumford, and today I'd just like to talk to you about some of the first expressions I had when I first arrived in Germany back in 2001. Now, the first thing that really hit my eye wasn't really that Germans are so unfriendly or that they just love to race like NASCAR drivers down the Autobahn. No, honestly, the first thing that struck me was that everything in Germany is so much smaller than it is in the United States. Now, I guess really that's not all that surprising. If you think about it, you can fit just about 2 Germanys in the state of Texas. I'll give you a further example. It takes 9 hours, or 10 hours about, to drive from the southernmost point of Germany, which is Füssen by the castle Neuschwanstein, also kind of known as the Disney Castle, all the way up to the most northern part of Germany on the Danish border, a town called Flensburg. 10 hours by car. Now, you can't even drive the length of California from San Diego up to, Wairika, in 10 hours. So I guess it's just not all that surprising that Germans are so used to living in such a tiny place that they're going to make everything smaller to try and fit in. Now, Germany has a population of 80 million people. Now, that doesn't really sound like a lot for Americans. We're used to just about 300 million in our entire country, and we have a lot of empty space. Have you ever driven through the prairie? I have. Nebraska. It's so much fun to drive through there. But Germany doesn't have so much empty space like the United States. Maybe it's because they don't have as much space. No, it's that they're still pretty spread out, but they still congregate in those large areas like what's called the Ruhrpott, the area around Cologne and Dusseldorf and Dortmund. And then, of course, you've got, Berlin area, Munich area. Other than that, I live near a town called Karlsruhe that has like 180,000 people, and that's actually considered a pretty good-sized city for German standards. So everything's just so much smaller because there just aren't as many people living there. And yeah, I mean, you have to experience it. You walk in and you're used to just everything being huge in the United States. Have you ever driven San Francisco? I have. You've got like 3 6-lane highways all congregating together at one point. It's freaky. Most German freeways don't get above 3 lanes, and that's really only in the large areas. You'll actually have freeways where it's just like one car passing another, and it's an Autobahn, So it's just smaller. I've lived in streets where you can barely fit 2 cars past each other. You have to wait for a car to back out of the driveway, to get past to get past. You don't really see that in the United States unless it's like in the middle of nowhere, not in the middle of a town. Another thing that I noticed right off the bat, the size of refrigerators. I mean, what's up with that, people? Do you really think that, it's the 1950s, 40s, where, post-war era where everybody just went to the store once a day? I'm not joking. Like, the refrigerator doesn't even come up to my waist. And the ice box, and it's literally an ice box this big. My very first apartment back in 2001. I walked in and I was like, where's the refrigerator? The landlady's like, it's right there under the counter. I'm like, under the counter? Sure enough, like 90 centimeters high. It's like not. It's not even 3 feet tall, and it fits perfectly under the counter. Now, granted, space saver. What am I saying? Germans love to save space because they don't have any. But literally, I couldn't buy frozen pizza because it wouldn't fit in the freezer. Okay, so next point. Have you ever wondered where the smart car came from? Well, it's actually a division of Daimler, as a Mercedes-Benz, smart car, and makes perfect sense. In a country that just loves to save space, let's just make the smallest car possible where you can barely fit 2 people in it, let alone don't go shopping. But in general, cars are smaller in Germany. You know, we don't have Impalas, not even a Mustang over here. You know, if people want large cars, they actually have to import them from either, from the United States, which is usually too expensive. But, there are some good-sized Italian cars. I'm not talking about the Maseratis or Ferraris. You do see those a little bit more often over here. But, yeah, it's just you don't have large cars. You wouldn't even be able to find a parking spot anyways. Like I was saying, streets are like this fine. You've got cars on both sides. Come home from work, running a little bit late because you stopped off to buy a frozen pizza because you can't freeze them in the freezer. You're not getting a parking spot, and especially if you've got a big car, good luck. You're probably going to be parking 4 or 5 blocks away, and your frozen pizza is no longer frozen. It's thawed out and mushy. So, cars, refrigerators, streets, what's next? We all know Americans love to eat. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, look at me. I'm certainly not, slanky McThin here. Germans love to eat. But they love to eat small portions. Americans, they love to eat big portions. So we're used to, if we're going to go out and we're going to spend $10 on a burger, we're going to be getting Monstro here, and of course this big old mound of fries on the side. And not to mention all-you-can-drink soda. Go to a burger joint in Germany, you're going to be paying $10. You're going to be getting a burger about this big, a little tiny mound of fries, and you're going to pay €2.50 for a tiny glass of Coke. And if you want another one, it's €2.50 again. And don't forget, if you want sides of mayonnaise or ketchup or whatever, it's going to cost you. Germans do not understand the concept of overeating. They understand the concept of overdrinking, hint Oktoberfest, hint beer gardens, but that's a whole nother topic. But Germans do love to eat, and they love to eat good. Give them a bratwurst, give them their sauerkraut, spätzle, many other things. I'll talk about those in a whole nother post. But Germans just don't eat large portions. They eat slower. Americans, we know, $10 burger with the mound of fries. It's probably gone in 4 minutes. Germans, smaller burger, smaller mound, 10 minutes maybe. It's just simply because when Germans eat, they talk. Eating is a social situation. You've heard this before about other countries like France and Italy, where a meal can go for a couple hours. Granted, the Germans aren't that extreme, but they're going to be talking. They're going to be conversing. They don't necessarily care that the food has to be hot the whole time they're eating. They'll continue eating, even if the fries are not as hot as they were before, because for them it's all about the conversation, the friends. When they go out, it's meeting with friends. It's not to chow down. Eating out also is not as common. You know, Americans, we might go out 3 times a week or 4. Or Germans, they might only go 3 or 4 times a month. So, I guess that makes sense. If we're going to be eating and socializing, laughing, meeting up with friends, our portions aren't going to be as large. I just remember the first time I paid my 10 euros for a burger with fries, and I thought, huh? Where's the rest? Is it coming later? I did feel pretty gypped. I'm used to it. I've gotten used to going to McDonald's or whatever and having, Big Mac fries and whatnot, and getting only 2 packs of ketchup for my fries. Because I'm not going to pay, 30 cents for a packet of ketchup 4 or 5 times actually, so I just don't. So going into a supermarket in the United States is like going into an airport hangar at, JFK or LAX. You just, I mean, you ever been to Costco? See what I mean? Going into a supermarket in Germany is an experience of itself. You think the streets are narrow, where you can barely fit 2 cars past each other. Try going down an aisle. So the first time I'm walking down an aisle, a person's coming at me, and I wanted to scream, "Stop, stop, stop, don't touch me!" Because you literally almost brush shoulders while walking past each other. Americans, I don't know, we just like, ew, I need my disinfectant right now. Give it to me. Somebody just touched me. Germans don't. They'll turn sideways, go past, or they'll let, they're really actually quite cordial. They don't barge right through. They see you coming, they'll stop, they'll get over onto the side. They'll say, "Oh, Entschuldigung," sorry, if their cart's in the way. Yeah. And you might even strike up some good conversation while there. It certainly has happened to me. So that's really everything I could think of. Believe me, there are lots of other things that I first noticed, especially with things being smaller. Hint, go to the bathroom. You only have like this much water in your toilet. Where Americans, you have like the entire Lake Erie. Why? We don't want to use the brush. Germans are like, what's the big deal? That's all I got for you today, folks, at ExploringGermany.net, your favorite lifestyle and travel blog. Next time, I'm going to be talking about German cordiality. One of the first things I noticed about Germans was how friendly they are. So come in, tune in next time, ExploringGermany.net. This is Craig Comfort saying, tschüss!